Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. It's Child Month, an important month, a month where we look at our children, look at how we treat our children, how we help to develop our children. We have with us today the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Floyd Green. He'll be addressing issues relevant to Child Month as well as other issues to do with our youth. Thank you so much for your company. Minister, good to have you on the program.
Yes, pleasure.
Child Month is a time when we focus on our children, their critical role. Your own thoughts, your own concerns about children and how policy, for example, can help to advance them.
Yeah, you know, I think Jamaica is the only country to have a whole month dedicated for children. I think we did that from the 1950s, and I think it was part of the recognition as a country how much we need to emphasize our children and to ensure that their rights and their responsibilities are taken care of in a very, very real way. I think over the years there have been varying results regarding of the importance placed on the month. One of the things we want to be very strong on as a government is that children are our number one priority, and their protection, their health, their education is something that we believe the nation should coalesce around. And we have to have all hands on deck. And part of what I have been doing as a new minister in relation to Child Month is seeing how we can touch base with all our partners, private, public partners, and see how we can really come together to ensure that that focus on various issues which affect children. We want to lead a campaign regarding a national consciousness. And that is one of the things that we will be embarking on, something that we call Our Children, where we get people to recognize that it's not about my child or that child, and oftentimes when children are in difficulty, that's how it is phrased. But it's really about our children, that we all have a collective responsibility as a nation to see to their protection. And we will be focusing on 4 pillars: healthcare, their education, their protection, and of course, proper parenting. Right? And we're going to use Child Month to start that campaign, where we can go back to the days when the thought process was, it really does take a village to raise a child. And when you see a child on the road, you should be concerned to recognize what is happening. Is the child all right? Is the child being cared for? We want that sort of emphasis, and we believe the ministry has to lead that charge. So it's a little bit even more than policy, but it's about redirecting our social consciousness, which we think is very, very important. But from a policy perspective, we definitely will have to be fast-tracking some of the things that we know are needed, especially legislatively, to strengthen the organs of our state. You know, a lot of good work has been done by the CDA, the Office of the Children's Registry, the OCR. Now, the OCR is a part where people report child abuse, and CDA deals with the investigation. For a very long time, there has been talk about reforming our Child Care and Protection Act, and we will have to get that done now. We'll have to ensure that we get that done in this term to strengthen policy, strengthen legislation in relation to some of the penalties around some of the offenses committed against our children, and also to remove the terminology uncontrollable. It has been on the books for a very, very long time. And again, it's the sort of negative terminology that defeats the whole purpose of child care and protection, which is what the Act is about. So we'll be fast-tracking some of those plans. For a very long time, there have been issues around our children in state care and our children in our residential homes. You know, we have a lot of good people who work with children, but we have to ensure that our systems are so designed that we're producing the sort of child in the residential facility that can easily adapt, that can easily be a productive individual. Now, you know, our children in those facilities come from varying backgrounds. A lot of them come from troubled backgrounds. We have done over the years a number of audit reports to find out deficiencies. What we're going to be doing this year is to have a strategic review, to look at especially some of the programs that are offered in the homes, see how we can standardize and streamline those programs to ensure we're getting the maximum impact. That where there are gaps, there are recommendations and plans to fill those gaps. So at the end of the day, we have a residential care system that is really serving our children. That would mean we're going to bring in all the residential care homeowners, find out what are some of the difficulties, what do they want to see their government do to help them serve our children better. And that is something that we expect to embark on. Well, we'll start the process in May, And I have said to the team already, 3 months should be a fair enough time.
For the strategic review.
Yeah, for the strategic review, so that we can start along that trajectory, so that we can ensure that by the time we're finished, we can see real change in relation to our residential care. We'll also be looking more broad-based residential care and in relation to foster care.
Yes, I was about to raise
the
that.
research and how can we help more people become foster parents? How much do they know about becoming a foster parent? Some of the research thus far has shown that those children do very well in foster care.
Right.
But again, there are deficiencies that we need to work on. So part of the things for Child Month is to ensure that the conversation is had in a very real way, right? A number of the issues that affect our children, like child abuse.
We'll take the break
Yes.
at this point. Minister of State, the Honorable Floyd Green, talking to us about issues relating to Child Month, issues relating to all children. Take a break, but we'll be right back.
Parents, did you know your involvement can make a difference in your child's education? Yes, by simply checking on their progress with teachers, assisting with homework, and playing a part in the school community, children are encouraged to do well.
All the studies show that parental involvement with their children in school leads to success. And there's no other way. Parents must take the time.
It's Child Month, and the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Floyd Green, is with us. And Minister, you were continuing. We talked about residential care and foster care, and you were going on.
Yeah, so and I was going on to say, some of the other issues, we really have to change our culture. When you talk about child abuse and its prevalence, right? And the fact that even though it is so prevalent, we still have underreporting, significant underreporting. I think the last survey that was done showed that only 1 in every 10 who knew about child abuse reported child abuse, right? So we have to make a determined effort to break that culture of silence. And I think that is some of the messaging I've been speaking to our partners about, our private partners, to come on board and help us attack that culture. And again, around the message that every child is our child, right? And we have to get more people, when they see abuse, that they raise the issue and they bring it to the OCR. We can have the CDA go in and we can have those interventions for children. I think it's very, very important. The Child Month Committee, who is made up of volunteers who really serve this country to such a great extent. The Child Month Committee has been active since 1953. And this year, the theme for Child Month is Healthy Child Builds a Strong Nation. So the focus from the Child Month Committee is going to be around the health of our children. They've already produced a calendar that in each day of the month, it gives you a little tip. Exercise with your child. Talk to your child about healthy eating. From the ministry perspective, and especially in terms of education, we're going to embark on our school feeding policy this year, which says that each child should have at least 1 nutritious meal, and try and incorporate local farmers into that process of ensuring that our children get the best meal. Because again, the research has shown that there's a very limited cognitive development if children are not properly fed, properly nutritious. So that's very, very important for us. So the Child Month Committee is going to focus on health. National Children's Day is the 13th of May. And we're going to be going out for the first time ever. We're going to expand the Children's Day reach outside of Kingston and St. Andrew. The Child Month Committee normally has an initiative that they roll out where they show some love to our children. They go out in the streets. They are volunteers for this year. We're going to be going into Montego Bay. We're going to be going to Ocho Rios. We're going to be going to Central Jamaica. And again, that has been made possible because as a ministry, we've reached out to private partners, asked them to come on board to partner with the Child Month Committee. And to be fair, so far, a number of them have answered that call, and we're happy for that.
Yes. So there has been quite a response in terms of inputs from the private sector, from private partners, working with the Child Month
Yes,
committee?
definitely. So we have the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. They have come on board, and they're helping to finance the Child Month initiative. And what we have said to our partners is that because we want real emphasis in as much spares as possible on Child Month, they should come up with their own initiatives. So for example, Civil Aviation has already launched a campaign where they're going to have children of their employees enter essay competition, right, around the theme of healthy child, build a strong nation. Digicel has come on board as one of our major partners and is going to help us push out the Our Children campaign, which will have a series of events and a series of messaging to, again, start changing that culture. This we plan to in the first phase, go on for at least 3 years. Because, again, we're dedicated to have that cultural shift where, again, people are talking about our children.
Minister, are you also trying or thinking about engaging our dancehall artists and our media practitioners in terms of the messaging?
Definitely. You know, I don't know if we'll be able to get everything done this year, and that is why we've already thought about it on a 3-year program.
Yeah.
But I think it's very critical that those people who already have the public ear, already are able to sort of bring a culture that we have them working on this messaging. We are going to be doing a video for this year, a video advert and some PSAs, right, around this Our Children messaging. I know people like yourself will be approaching a number of our dancehall, reggae dancers, art. We want to get everybody on board. So, you know, this is the initial rollout, but I'm sure by next year we want it to have taken root and you will see more partners on board.
Yes. Minister, the importance of parenting. How critical is this to the healthy development of our children?
It is fundamental. And that is why in our 4 pillars, parenting is one. You know, parents are really the main socializers. And it has been shown at every level, regardless of economic background, the children who their parents take a keen interest in how they do in school, how they progress in life, they're the ones that do better. I'm sure you would have seen it in the history. So, you know, through the National Parenting Commission, we're outlining a number of initiatives to help our parents. As we already know, we have already something called Parent Places, where a number of schools, we have set up areas where our parents can come in and, you know, learn to be parents.
Right.
Sometimes we take for granted that, yes, having a child doesn't make you a parent. And there's some skills that you need to also learn. And we're going to help facilitate that. And again, the National Parent Commission is going to spearhead in that throughout Child Month and for the entire year. You know, we have increased their budget allocation this year to ensure that they have more support and they have the resources that is necessary, because parents, and when we have outlined the pillars for our new Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, parenting is one of our pillars, fundamental pillars, or priority areas that we know affects youth, it affects education, it affects information, it affects the entire ministry, and we have to get that right.
Yeah. With regard to education, Minister, is there any particular thrust which will emphasize the government's commitment to children, the health of our children? So
well, I think you will see a clear thrust from the government in terms of our early childhood institutions, right? You know, I had the pleasure of representing the country at CELAC, which is a community of Latin America and the Caribbean and the Ministers of Education. And even there, we made a clear declaration that as governments in Latin America and the Caribbean, we will be putting the requisite resources to help strengthen our early childhood systems. You know, Jamaica is far ahead because of the work that we had done with the Early Childhood Commission in establishing that entity, in the regulations to support it in terms of legislation. Again, resources has been a problem, and prioritizing it has been a problem. This government is going to make it a priority to ensure that our early childhood institutions have the support through the commission, that the commission has the ability to go do the research and not only do the visits and the audits of these institutions, but do some hand-holding to ensure that the institutions can come up to the required standards so that they can be registered. That is ultimately what we want, and that will be a prime focus of this administration.
Thank you very much, Minister. Oh, young and energetic Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Floyd Green, talking to us about issues to do with Child Month and issues to do with our children. We thank you for your company today. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.